So yesterday evening, I was reading an article in Foreign Policy by analyst Justin Lynch discussing the situation not only in Darfur, but overall Sudan as a whole. And being that I'm currently this week in Atlanta, I wanted to discuss a product that all of you are familiar with if you don't readily consume, and that is Coca-Cola. Now, what does that have to do with Sudan or geopolitics in general, you may be asking? So, a key ingredient in Coca-Cola is gum arabic or gum acacia. It was discovered by the acacia tree actually in Senegal, but Senegal doesn't produce a bunch of this product. Sudan is the main manufacturer of gum arabic. Now, gum arabic is an emulsifier, and that means it helps ingredients or chemicals that would normally not bond together to be able to do so. So in the case of Coca-Cola and other similar beverages, it is helping to emulsify water and sugar, as without the gum arabic, the sugar within, say, Coca-Cola would like crystallize, form these kind of hard clusters and just sink to the bottom. It wouldn't be able to remain just suspended and throughout the water to make up the sweet sugary beverage that you all know and love. So gum arabic is a key ingredient in Coca-Cola, and at any given time, because it is such an integral product to beverages such as Coke or Pepsi, these companies will hold on to huge swaths of the product, usually a 6-month supply at a time. Now, why is this? Well, there are no man-made substitutes known. So gum arabic, that's the only emulsifier that they know that is suitable for this. And where does it come from? It comes from an unstable part of the world known as the Sahel. Now, the Sahel stretches from Sudan all the way to Mauritania, and it's known for its instability. For the last decade, there's been a ton of militant Islamist insurrections. Wagner, the paramilitary group they may have heard, tried to take over Moscow over the weekend. They are significantly involved in countries such as, say, Mali, and helping governments stay in power and fight off these combatants. So it's a very unstable region, and the main exporter of gum arabic, Sudan, is right now in the middle of a war. And they've been unstable for some time, but just to give you some idea of how significant gum arabic is to the beverage industry just globally, the United States during the whole Darfur conflict, there were sanctions out the wazoo on Sudan, but wanted pretty much the only product that was unsanctioned and allowed to be exported from Sudan was gum arabic. But now, given the situation that the whole country is in crisis, not just the Darfur region, but the entire country of Sudan, it makes it difficult, if not impossible, to not only pick the gum arabic from the acacia trees in nature, but then to ship it to refining plants, then ship to be loaded onto freight lines leaving the port of Sudan. So all this is pretty much impossible because the whole country is in chaos. And what does this mean for you? Well, it means that, let's say, so the conflict started in April, but let's give it an extra month. Let's just say 6 months out from May, if companies such as, say, Coca-Cola aren't able to get additional supplies of gum arabic, which their ability to do so is questionable, then they won't be able to manufacture drinks such as this, which will cost them billions upon billions of dollars and anger significant amounts of customers globally. As what country is Coca-Cola not sold in? And I wanted to bring attention to this today, as many people don't really think about geopolitics. I mean, I love it. I'm a complete, this is sports for me, geopolitics. But for the average person, doesn't have a lot of interest in it. And also a lot of international business typically have not. But you should be paying attention to occurrences even in far-flung places such as Sudan, or seemingly far-flung, because the whole world is basically like a puzzle, and all the pieces come together, and you may not understand how they fit together, but ultimately they do. And if, for example, this act of war in Sudan can have rippling effects across the global economy in ways that you may not even be aware of, as you probably weren't familiar with gum arabic, especially as it's not even listed in the bottle. It's listed under natural flavors due to the very broad, loose wordings allowed by at least the United States government and the FDA. But It just shows that geopolitics can have global effects on products that you know, love, and consume every day, such as Coca-Cola. So be on the lookout to see if the situation in Sudan stabilizes. It does not appear to be apt to do so anytime soon, as you have Dagalo, aka Hamedi. He, as a head of the Rapid Support Forces, he's battling out against Fatah al-Burhan and the Sudanese Armed Forces, who is essentially the main general for the official Sudanese government and military. Now, Hamedi, he's a part of the Rezakat tribe. And the Rezakat tribe, its membership spans across 1,500 miles of the Sahel, from Mauritania to even parts of Cameroon to Sudan, even though Cameroon's not really part of the Sahel. But there are some Rezakat members. This all over the place. So the big part of the uprising is sectarian violence, which is also a huge part of Darfur. And a lot of people in the West don't understand what's the cause of sectarian violence, but if you think about it, a lot of these countries in Africa were just drawn up by European colonizers with complete disregards for the sectarian demographics of these areas that have existed for centuries. So a lot of people don't really feel a lot of patriotism to the country. They're necessarily tied to their nationalities because they feel a more allegiance to their tribes. So you have Hamedi, who is part of the Rezakat tribe. He has ties to other influential figures throughout the region, including Niger and other Sahel countries. Their president, Mohamed Bazoum, and also the former two-time defense minister of Chad, Bichara Dajalda, I believe I pronounced his name right, who is actually Hamedi's cousin. So given that he has a lot of tribal support that he's built up over the years, throughout the Sahel, not to mention his ties, for example, to the General Haftar, who's kind of one of the two main combatants in the Libya situation. It seems like this situation is not going to get resolved anytime soon, as far as I can tell. But again, it's worth paying attention, as though you may not think about Sudan and think it doesn't impact your life, if you drink Coca-Cola, or not even just Coca-Cola, let's say Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Red Bull, Monster, any drink that has sugar suspended in water, basically needs this gum arabic as emulsifier, then this has the strong ability to ultimately impact you. So this is why you should be paying attention to geopolitics and how even things that seem completely unrelated to your day-to-day life could have overall overwhelming impacts that you were initially unforeseen.